Button. I already had a private session to work out this morning, and I'm getting so old.
Oh
What happened to
gosh.
you?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
26. Ugh, to be 26 again. I wouldn't even do randori anymore because I'm just so afraid to. I know that there's people that I know that are like 78 that do master worlds and stuff like that. They've
Yeah.
had two hip replacements, and I don't want to go there. I do
Yeah.
randori and like five toes pop out of place and like my knees start to
Oh
hurt and I'm
gosh.
like, I'm such a whiny baby now. I can't handle it anymore. God is different, but okay, let me start. My name is Lauren Meese. I'm an Olympian from the 2000 Olympics for Judo. I have Nefeli Papadakis with me. Is pronunciation okay?
Yes, that was perfect.
Yay. Okay. I'm really excited to talk to you. I like talking to the younger generation of Olympians and athletes and people that have been on the world championship teams and stuff like that. Can you just give me a brief introduction to who you are and your accomplishments on and off the mat?
Yeah. My name's Nefeli Papadakis. I'm 26 years old. I'm from Gurnee. I grew up in Gurnee, Illinois, and I moved a little bit south now, but I was multiple time junior cadet world team member, senior world team member, 2021 Olympian, three-time Pan American medalist, three-time senior national champ. That's kind of my bigger ones, my favorite ones, I'll say. So
Yeah. Well, so like I'm always confused because they're like the labeling of the Olympics. Sometimes they have you listed as 2020, sometimes it's 2021. And I know with the epidemic,
yeah,
it's just interchangeable.
yeah, for
Like,
sure.
yeah. So like the whole purpose of me doing this, it's just for fun, but I think it's important maybe just for a resource to be out there for female judokas in the country, in the United States, and
Yeah.
then hopefully it'll go on internationally. But why do you think it's important personally for us to document the history of women's judo?
Um, Honestly, I think it's important because I mean, just speaking for myself, I didn't really know anything about women's judo. When I was growing up, I'm gonna say later high school, I applied for the Rusty Kanakogi scholarship, which is a big one. I know it's more popular now, whatever, but I didn't, truth be told, at that point in time, I had no idea who that was. And then when I researched it, I was like, oh my God, like, how did I, not really know anything? And that's when I really started watching more judo, though. Like when I was in high school, I was watching like Marty, Kayla, Travis, like that group
Mm-hmm.
competing. Um, so I guess that's when I really started truly diving into the judo community and knowing who even was who.
Yeah.
I feel like before then, I just kind of was like, I was competing a lot, I was training a lot, but I didn't really know much beyond that, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So I think it's good that, sorry, my dog making an appearance. I just think it's good, not just for women, but everybody to know like who is who, when they were who, and it's just good
Yeah,
overall.
we didn't get that either. I think mostly because you have mostly male coaches, and
Yeah, that
so
too.
it's hard because we're spread out. It's like a niche sport. So, you know, you hear names, but you don't really like fully encompass, especially when you're competing. You're almost
Exactly.
like an island to some degree.
Exactly, for sure. And
Yeah.
like I was like, I mean, I was one of the younger ones on the team that I was competing with at the time because it was like Angie, Colton, Nina, Kucho Kelly, like a little bit older than me. So they knew like all these people that were the generation above them. So sometimes they'd be talking about folks, and I was like, yeah, like that. And I had
It's
no
so
idea. So
weird. It's
yeah, it
weird
is a little odd.
hearing like they were kids to me, and
Yeah,
I made the Olympic team when I was 16 and competed when I was 17. And they're not that much younger than me, but like I remember Hannah and Kayla,
yeah,
how goofy and annoying they were when they were teenagers. And then, Angie used to come to Budokan quite a bit, and I would work with her a lot when she was younger. Like I'm talking like 12, 13. And then you see them now, and they're just these absolute powerhouses. And
oh yeah,
nothing in my mind goes, oh, I helped facilitate that. But when I talk to, like, I don't know, Rhonda's mom or Eve or some of the older generations, and I hear
mhm,
all the stuff that they went through and like kind of like their tough guy attitudes too, a little bit that they had that sort of
yeah,
trickled down
yeah,
to, my generation. And then I don't know, man. It's really cool. It's really cool to see now at my age,
yeah,
right? Like I'm
yeah.
42 and like I looking back at everything and remembering all of these women that had such a powerful influence on me.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was gonna say, I think it makes a huge difference having a girl, like a strong, like female presence in your gym. Like me growing up, I don't know if you're super familiar with them. I started with Tim Schulteis, Nikki Schulteis, and Robbie Schulteis. Robbie and Nikki were like pretty high level. Nikki did the 2004 Olympic trials.
mhm.
Um, she fought 48 or 52, I can't remember, but that's who I like grew up like watching or knowing. So for me, I was like, I always wanted to be like her kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then as I kept growing up and up, there was always like there was Kayla, there was Marty, there was like a lot of women that were like, I was like, oh, like there's a lot of girls that do this. And I know it made a difference for me in my head. And I feel like now teaching, I mean, the school I teach at now, it is jujitsu, but it's like, we have a lot of girls, like a ton, like I'm going to say at least 50% girls and boys on the mat in those kids' classes. It's not like super dominated by the boys. I would
Mhm.
argue it might be the opposite at this point, but yeah,
Is
a
that you
ton of
said that's isolated in your BJJ culture though? Yeah,
yes,
that is in your
yes,
BJJ
yeah,
culture. Wow. See, and I know that you are also pretty well into BJJ. I'm going to skip around with some of the questions, but I just like where are you at with USA judo culture versus BJJ culture? Like, how do you kind of distinguish it in your mind as far as like the positives and the negatives?
yeah. Ooh, I think, oh man, I mean, for me, USA Judo's everything's political. Everything in sports is there's politics in sports. It's just part of it, like it or not, kind of thing. Um, I haven't experienced that much of the jujitsu politics just because I mean, I'm still competing, but I'm not like Andre Galvao. I'm not like the guy in jujitsu. I haven't gotten to that high of level, so that might be why. But um, I mean, as you move up to the senior level in USA Judo, there's definitely an aspect of like politics, which I got a taste of for sure. But I grew up, I'm kind of like the hometown, small town person. I didn't go to, and I love them. I didn't go to Kitsusai. I trained there a lot, but I didn't like live there, grow up there kind of thing. I'm not from Jimmy Pedro's. I'm not from Jason Morris's. I'm not from like any of the large rooted, like big name schools that like you see a ton of people coming out of like in the past or even more recently.
Mhm.
So I definitely had to like work maybe a little, I'm not going to say harder. I had to work differently than maybe some of the other kids my age, just because if I wanted my name to get out there or really like make it, I really had to go in and like win everything I was going to or really like show out kind of thing.
Mhm. What
Yeah.
about like the equity as far as genders are concerned? Do you feel like Skylar Cummings said she felt as though women now in judo, there's a pretty, and I see it like there's more
Mhm.
seminars that females are leading
For sure.
within our country as far as judo is concerned. Like for us, for our generation,
Yeah.
I'm not Jimmy, and I'm not like
Yeah.
even we had people like Seleta Schultz who's getting fifth place at World Championship. She was exceptionally good.
Yeah.
Liliko, they were like
Mhm.
my heroes growing up. They were
Yeah.
exceptional, and it didn't matter that like I think Will got third in '92. I'm trying to like scan through my brain, but
Yeah.
it didn't matter how high level they were. They just didn't get the access to like seminars and clinics like the men did. But what do you think about that now? Do you think your generation's kind of the
I think
playing
it's
field's even now?
I think it's evened out a little bit. I don't think it's fully even yet. I think there's definitely, like, when you think of who runs judo schools around the country, it is what, 75, 80% men that like own and run a school
Yeah.
and like as respectfully as possible. Like the old guy mentality of like me, for example, I started teaching when I was a kid, to be honest, but seminars and stuff was more after the Olympics. So I was 22. So like not a whole lot of like 60 something year old men were like, let me get this like 22, 21-year old girl out here to teach. Like
Yeah.
that wasn't as common for sure. I think social media played a big part of that and kind of again like playing the smart card for myself. Like, okay, I need to build my social media following so I can get like these videos out there and kind of build some familiarity with like what I do and what people can learn. For me, it was the jujitsu community, honestly, that I get more seminars with because judo schools just aren't as common or as well funded or whatever.
Well, there is a ratio too, right? Like, you look at the men's division, they're stacked. And then you
Yeah.
look at the women's division and they're stacked. And for me, part of me is like, I think that at this point, as women in the sport, we shouldn't really be like relying on the men either you know what I mean? So like if they're more focused on their own history, and it's not a segregated concept, it's just
Right.
that we have to kind of show our strength in what numbers that we do have.
Hmm.
My my absolute dream would be to try to collect every female that's been on like a world championship team or an Olympic team um, since the beginning of time that are still functioning and with us and just have a massive female camp. I mean, that would
Yeah.
just be incredible. But the amount of
Yeah.
manpower and people that, it takes a lot of money. And I,
Yeah.
I
Wow.
think that it's sad though, because it would probably be easier to market if it was open to BJJ females
Hmm.
and BJJ athletes in general. Uh,
Yeah,
just because everybody does kind of think that they know best, and there are a lot of egos involved in
for
USA
sure.
judo culture. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've had like men reach out to me and say they're working with a specific athlete, and I won't name names, but
Yeah.
after a while I'll say, "Hey dude, like I can't keep consulting with you on these videos and
Yeah.
saying like, okay, and helping you. Like I would take an ample amount of time and then I'd finally draw the line in the sand and go, dude, you gotta start paying me for this consulting. Like you're taking
Oh
time
yeah.
out of my day to do this." Crickets. So it's almost like my niceness was taken advantage of. And then now that I'm asking you to pay me, but if it was a dude, they know that like, oh, I don't want my reputation to ruin, like
Yeah,
they
it's
think that.
business now. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I think that's something I learned like early on, thank goodness. So I'm pretty like firm with that stuff. Uh what my I mean my coach for jujitsu, at least she's like my second mom, but she's pretty, I mean, she's been pretty like don't devalue yourself in that way. Like you
Yeah.
did all this stuff, you got to whatever level you got, and your rates are kind of they show accordingly. So
Yeah. Well,
hard,
good.
but
Good for you. Keep
not
going with
bad.
that. Going with that for sure. So kind of pushing towards that, as females, we have to support each other. What idea do you have in your mind that we could do as women in the grappling arts to kind of come together and support each other more so?
Yeah, I think this podcast is a great start for sure. It's cool watching and getting to hear everyone's stuff. I think I think camps would be a good place to start. It's just the US is such a big, like literally size-wise country, and everyone's so spread out that it is very hard to get like training together and training with other girls. Like it's different training with other girls than it is with men. Like for me, like leading up to the Olympics, I did fight 78 kilos. So there were a couple high school boys that I trained with. That was like my main group. And it was fine. It was great. Like I love them for it. But a 17, 18-year-old, like what, 73-kilo guy, they don't move the same as a 78-kilo woman, like they're a little more dynamic. They're a little more this and that. So it was good to push me in training, but not everyone has that opportunity. And it showed when I was traveling to different camps and going with like actual girls, like, oh my God, the pace isn't even really the same. Like
Mm.
the dynamics of the actual match aren't the same. So it's important to get together and train, even if it's like a couple times a year. You have to kind of keep yourself in check and be able to differentiate what to do, when to do, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's way cheaper if you think about it for everybody to fly nationally
Oh
than
yeah.
to go
Oh,
internationally. So I
and
don't
that's
know
how
why. Go ahead.
no, I was just saying that's how I think everyone would actually get better because it's I mean, some of the younger kids maybe who haven't been exposed to like international camps yet and stuff, it's like hard. It's hard.
It's a smack
I,
in the
yeah.
face, dude. It's a smack in
I,
the face when your
the
first
first
international. What was it? What was your first international camp?
Paris. And I was like 19. Yeah, and I was young, and everyone I fought, I mean, I could care less who I fought at that point because I was like everyone I was fighting was like Olympic silver medalists, world championships bronze medalists. Like everyone was good. There was no easy rounds where I was like, oh, like I can like kind of really work my, no, every round was a hard round and you do learn a lot. But if you're not in a headspace or like mentally prepared for that type of thing you're going into,
Yeah.
it's so easy to get discouraged. If you don't have the right people around you in your coach's chair, but even friends to support you at those camps, like
Oh yeah.
it's freaking hard being in there. You really got it's a tough one. So I wish we could train more here on a national scale more frequently, like every quarter kind of thing, so that you can kind of build up together. Because going from just this to the Paris Grand Slam's insane. That's an insane idea.
Hmm. Yeah, you're like spot on about that. And I try to bring that home to any athletes that I talk to that are going their first time, like let's say they're going to Valencia.
Yeah.
It's hot there. Like if you don't have somebody to just curse at when you get off the mat, or even, I was tiny. I was 16. My
Mhm.
teammates are in their early 20s, mid 20s. And, I had speed, but I didn't have the strength that some of these grown
Yeah.
women. And so I had women pushing my head into a mat. I had my contact come out one time and I told the girl, hold on. I need to grab my contact and give to my coach or something. And uh, she like shoved my face. But the
Yeah.
beauty of that is when people, whether it's like North American, Pan American teammates or your
Mhm.
direct US teammates, your heavier weight goes, I got that corner.
Yeah.
And they protect you, And so
Yeah.
there's a feeling of camaraderie that's there that makes you feel protected. And when you're down, they can bring your headspace back up and say, hey,
Uh,
like, so if you don't have that support, it makes it 10 times harder. And you have those
oh
training
yeah,
camps.
for
Really,
sure.
ugh.
100%.
I don't know. It was fun, but like just the idea at my age of ever going to one of those camps again, I don't know, dude. Those are tough. Those are tough camps. But when you finally get in your flow,
Yeah.
like I remember there's a girl from Belgium that got bronze at my Olympics, and she was just a beast. She was like an animal. And my coach at the time, or the coaches that were with me, were Eddie Liddy and Steve Cohen, and Steve just kept talking to me, and like just his calm, reserved voice alone. He's like,
Yeah.
Mies, you could do this, like you. And I remember I came in with a soda, and I just completely blasted her, and she landed right in front of all her teammates. And she got up with this look like, I am going to kill you. And I was like, oh no,
Oh my
like
God.
because
Yeah.
they're so strong. Their physicality at
Absolutely.
that time when I was a kid and because you're still being young, like when you're fighting judokas that are even 4 years older than you, it's
Oh yeah.
the strength level is totally different.
Well,
Yeah.
some of the girls I was training with at these camps were like, I mean, I was 19, 20, but they like fought Kayla for years. And then they're like, oh, who's this like little girl? And I'm like, okay. And they were like, just, it almost, some of them, they were what, maybe early 30s. So it was like I was a baby and they were like, oh my gosh, like, you're so young, you're gonna, whatever, whatever. I'm like, yeah, like, but you catch them with the foot sweep or something easy even, and they just,
They
face
don't like it. Yeah,
changes,
they
a
don't like
whole
that.
different. I'm like, okay, like here we go. Like now it's gonna get real,
Yeah.
but the physicality is big. I think that's a big thing. Not everyone that is missing here a little bit, in training. I think culture at some gyms is it differentiates a little bit too much, and if you want to get to those higher level and higher tier tournaments, even as a junior, like you have to be able to like brawl a little bit. Like you have to have a chip on your shoulder, a little bit of an edge, because otherwise it's going to be really difficult to move forward
Yeah.
consistently.
And they try to break you as an American. I know back then, if an American caught you, because we didn't have a good reputation of being
Hmm.
well diverse in our judo population, we had maybe one or two athletes that were breaking the top five. But
Hmm.
um, God, the things that they would say to you,
Yeah.
like to mess with your head as you're even on the mat,
Yeah.
I could talk about that forever.
Yeah.
So name one of your like ultimate superheroes growing up as a
Ooh,
kid. Who did you
ultimate.
watch? Yeah, females.
Yeah. I'm going to sound so basic.
Uh-uh.
I, I was a big fan of Rhonda, Kayla, and Marty growing up. I would say Kayla and Marty are the ones I watched the most just because that's when I really started like actually going on the IJF stream and like watching the tournaments for real. I was a lot more interested in it. I was like, okay, like this is like the medal rounds were so exciting to watch, and I'd just be in my room like with my dad too. Me and my dad would watch. So those are the fun ones for me to really, you know,
Yeah.
get to see
No,
compete.
rightfully so. And they're good humans. That's not everybody, obviously, in judo is a good human, but I was lucky enough to have a lot of amazing mentors being so young, traveling. And so I think that it's not basic because they're awesome human beings
Yeah,
and they're accomplished human beings. And,
right.
it, yeah, there's nothing basic about it. It's like legit, and I think as much as Ronda had to have that persona for UFC.
Hmm.
She's a good person. Like deep down, she's a good human being. It's just
For
she
sure.
had to do something to bring attention to the sport because, unfortunately, like I've talked to other athletes and they've been like, "You just need to show a little bit more boobs, Lauren, on your Instagram videos and have a
Yeah.
little more sex appeal." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not gonna do it the wrong way and then like give up my
Yeah.
integrity for
Absolutely. Yeah.
likes or clicks or anything else like that."
Well,
Last question. Last question. What did judo provide you in regards to your sense of empowerment?
self-confidence for sure. I was like a super duper quiet kid. I like barely talked at judo practice. I was really shy and in my shell, but I think as I got better, it one that gave me confidence, but I also had the opportunity of like the friendships you make in judo are different. The struggles you go through on the mat with your teammates are different than like my school friend. Um, I think like some of the kids on my first cadet world team or the Pan Am teams that I was on in like 2010 when I was a little kid, like I'm still friends with them. Like Lakea
Yeah.
Vargas,
Yeah, I love
him.
it.
He's doing my video at my wedding later this year. Like I'm still good friends with him. Like there's so many people I'm still close with, and like when I go visit Florida, like I hit up my friends from way back whenever, and
Yeah,
it's
you
just
just pick right up where you left off. That's it.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I love about it the most. It's like you've been to all these the most random countries in the world with these people, and you just have such good memories, and I think that's
Yeah.
my big thing with
I'm
it.
happy that's continued though. That was the part of the culture that I loved the most. It wasn't about going to the Olympics at all. It was the journey getting there
That
and
is
all
one
of
of the
those
big
fun.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first started, I roomed with Hannah Martin a lot, and she always was like, Neff, enjoy the journey. Always like, don't,
Right.
if you go to a tournament, you mess up, you lost, like, absolutely it sucks, but don't sit in your room and be all just depressed or more, like, go out, experience the country you're in, like, see what they have and like enjoy the journey. Don't, it's
Yeah.
important, but that's not everything. So that was definitely important for me to hear.
Right. And it
Um,
depends on your path too, right? As a person, like Kayla has always been on this like tunnel vision path. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah,
And it's different for everybody and what like kind of enriches your soul in the process
yeah, yeah.
and what you grab from it. Yeah, for me, it was the same kind of deal. I was extremely shy and um it helped me like learn how to socialize with people properly and just
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe not maybe some of the things that I was like copying behavior wise was not always the best because judo females tend to have like really severe potty mouths and you're
Yeah.
around guys all the time, so you kind of pick up on
Yeah.
like the vulgar nature of all of
Yeah.
that. But no, ultimately it just told me that I can do anything. If I can fight with a broken hand, if I can fight with
Yeah.
cracked rib, if I can, there's certain things where you realize how powerful your mind is. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And
and
being
those,
around those older like the athletes you look up to, like not older, but just your more senior teammates kind of thing. That was big for me too. Like watching Angie work as hard as she worked, like that was really motivating for me. And I like some stuff she would tell me at camp. Like there's one camp I was struggling a lot. I was having a hard one kind of thing. And
yeah,
she was watching me and she was frustrated. She's like, Neff, when you grab that freaking sleeve, you don't let it go. And she was kind of like motivating me to do better. And I was seeing her go and do all her rounds. I'm like, okay, like I can do this. I need to like bring
yeah.
it back down, refocus, and stuff like that helped me a ton for sure.
That
Kept me,
shows that the culture trickled down to you guys, and that makes
oh,
me really super happy because, like, Rusty was like that with me, and she
yeah.
she would pull me aside a lot and talk to me, and
Mhm.
Amy Tong, Hillary Wolf, Liliko, um, Colleen McDonald. She was good. She was Ellen Wilson's kind of equal. They went their back and forth rivalry wise, but they raised me. Like they did the
Yeah,
same thing for me. I would be at the camp and be like, "You're good, Mish. You're good. Like this is your first time on the European tour. Just breathe." But those
yeah,
are special moments, and it's so beautiful to hear that about your generation that you guys are just that continuing that culture. That's
yeah.
awesome. So
You
what's
did.
what's next for you? Are you gonna go for the 2028 bid?
Oh, I knew that was coming. I don't
I saw this
know.
guy named Mark Fletcher, who's from my generation, come back and fight at senior nationals. Like, I'm like, who's going to come out of the woodwork because it's an easy bid? Who's coming?
Man,
Who's coming?
I don't know. What's the like, has it been
I
official?
don't think. I don't know if they've determined. I think it's probably going to end up being like international points come first. I don't know if they've listed whether or not there's going to be trials or
Yeah. That's what I mean. I'll never say never, but that's what I'm waiting on.
not.
If it's gonna be okay, you have to do X, Y, and Z, and it's like a crazy amount of traveling. I don't know, but we'll
Yeah.
see. Never say never, but we'll see.
Oh no, I would always say, yeah.
I'll do it if you do it.
Oh, okay, super. Yeah, I'll get right on that. I'll get right on that. I'll probably fight 52s. I don't think I'd make 48s anymore.
There we
Hey, it was
go.
great talking to you. I want to keep in touch with you. You're a really interesting human
Yeah.
being. If you have any ideas for kind of bringing all these female judokas together and kind of getting them pumped up, I think it would be so cool to have like members of the first Olympic team,
Yeah.
women all the way up to your team in 2024. So
Absolutely. Sounds good.
yeah, let's stay in touch.
Yes, for sure. Thank you. Have a good
Yeah,
one.
thank you. You too. Bye bye.
Bye.